Hey guys, welcome back to our YouTube channel. So today we have our Khadija.
Assalamualaikum guys.
Walaikum salam. And we are also joined by my uncle Chris from Qatar.
Hello everyone.
Hi.
Ramadan Kareem and Assalamu alaikum to everyone.
Ramadan Kareem and Ramadan Mubarak. We didn't say that to them before, Khadija.
Yeah.
It was Ramadan last week.
Ramadan video. Ramadan Kareem guys.
Okay, so my uncle has something to talk about. I think I'm gonna stop calling him my uncle today. I'm gonna say, okay, Chris has something to talk about regarding divorce. Because after our last video, he had something he wanted to share, he wanted to ask, he wanted to bring to the table. So here we are, joined by him, and we hope this is gonna be a great session, you know, since we have debate from both sides. Okay, let's go.
Alright, so for the last video, I noticed you are mostly talking about single mothers and the struggle that single mothers go through. And I do understand it's really tough, especially for a woman. I mean, we know how the world is. It's male-dominated when you're talking about work industries and things like that. We always talk about single women, but nobody ever addresses why or what leads to women being single or why the men leave. We never talk about that. I mean, we should ask women, first of all, your man left. Why did he leave? Was it like a misunderstanding between you two? Was it something that cannot be reconciled? I mean, I don't think there's always that kind of a big issue that you cannot solve unless you just don't want to solve.
Okay, so Khadija and I had a little bit.
You're singling out women.
Yeah.
Relationship, like it could go both ways, you know. Why? I mean, why did he leave you?
Yeah, like you are the wrong one, or you did something wrong that he had to leave. And another thing is, Khadija and I are both the ones that actually walked out of our marriages. So it's not like it's just men that leave, you know. I told you, asked me this question last week, and I told you irreconcilable differences.
You know, it's not like, you know. Okay, marriage.
Okay.
Marriage is not an easy thing, right?
True.
You get in it knowing that I'm with this person for the rest of my life. You don't think that things are not gonna work out when you get married.
Yeah.
You're like, this person is my soulmate. I'm gonna be with them forever. But then things happen within a marriage, right? In the Swahili community, everyone tells you be patient, be patient. No one tells you to walk out. No one tells you get professional help, or they just tell you be patient, be patient. So that's what we do. Patient. And then in the end, we can't take it anymore. And we're there in a toxic relationship, not knowing what to do. Because every time we seek that advice from an adult or something, all they tell you is be patient. Be patient. Okay. Yeah? So in the end, it just doesn't make sense to stay patient, you know? It's not good for your mental health, and it's not good for the kids if you have kids. So you have to walk out. So
you always you pointed, like, single-handedly pointed toxic relationship. What kind of traits are there? Like, what are the key elements that are making you to leave? You just say toxic, but you never say exactly what is toxic.
Well, there's a lot of things, but definitely abuse is normally number one on the list. Like, whether it's physical, whether it's emotional, whether it's mental, like it takes a toll on anyone, whether it's a man or a woman, and it reaches a point where you cannot handle it anymore. And most of the times, majority of the times, you can literally not change someone who is an abuser. You know, that's just their type, that's just how they are. You cannot change them, you know, and you cannot wait there for you to wait for them to change. So in that case, it's like someone, for example, someone going through physical abuse, that's very easy to prove at the end of the day, to say like, yo, you know, my husband beats me, or my wife, you know, she's been beating me, because abuse goes both ways, right? And then, so that one you can easily see, you know, some people, I know people close to me, they would go home and the family be like, be patient, kuwa na subra, ndo mume wako utafanya nini, you know. But how patient can you be until like umeregeshwa nyumbani kwako and you know they've returned you home in a janaza, and that's when you know your parents will be like, oh wow, my child was actually going through it, or that's when people will be like, oh wow, she was actually suffering in that marriage. So that is a physical one, but then there's that mental one and emotional one, where if I try to explain to you right now, let's say what I went through emotionally or mentally, it might not make sense to you. It's not easy for it to make sense to anyone, you know. Like you might just think, you're just speaking on things, these are things you can get through, these are things you can solve, but you actually don't know until you're in that position, you know. And then things like that, they also lead to depression, you know. The mental and the emotional one, they lead to depression. And me being an advocate for all these abusers, saying no to them and telling women online like, yo, don't accept this, don't accept that, there was a time I was going through this and I was proper depressed, but I did not know I was in that position. Do you get me? Like, as much as like actively I can say, oh don't, but there were things that were going through in my life and I didn't even realize until the moment I detached myself from that life, and I had like a few months away, and that's when I actually felt alive again. I felt like myself again. I felt like all this time I've been pretending to be okay, but I was not okay. I was actually drowning the whole time. And when I came back and I was like, I talked to my partner like, yo, this is how I feel. Of course, no one is gonna be accepting that, oh, you're going like, oh, this is my fault that you're feeling that way, or my fault you're going through this, you know. It takes two to tango at the end of the day. So at the end of the day, I just saw it's best to love each other from afar. It's best to separate, because I myself as a person cannot change the other person and cannot change how that person makes me feel, you know, and I cannot handle it that way. So there's no point me staying there for the kids or whatever when I know I'm not okay inside. I will not look after the kids the best way I can unless I'm actually my best self. So that is what happened with me, in short. Not irreconcilable differences.
Okay, now when you put it like that, that makes total sense. I mean, I understand everything from, I get everything now. It's quite clear. And let me say, for a toxic person, like, let's say like physical abusive person, okay, that one we cannot even try and discuss about it, because, you know, your health comes first. I mean, you come first in everything. So if you have someone who's beating you up, regardless of how it is, even small, like a spank or anything like that, because it always starts like that. So,
yeah.
We cannot advocate for beating of any kind. Okay? For mental health as well, this is something that people should be aware of right now. It's really, really, really important to take care of your mental health first of all. So if you're in a relationship, you should be with someone who makes you feel good about yourself, supports you. Okay, not to be. I mean, I'm a guy, but I've been in a situation whereby I was with someone who was that toxic. You know, they kind of talk down on you.
Yeah, okay. Make you feel like you're nothing. Make you feel like you're not worth anything.
I'm a guy, but I have been in that situation. I was like, oh, okay, this feels weird, because things are just not right. Things are just not working out. So for any kind of a toxic relationship, it's best if you just get out as soon as possible. And the thing is, we do realize these things. We do see them, but we tend to ignore them in the beginning.
Yeah.
But we do realize something is off. I mean, you will know it. You will notice it. You know something is off.
No, but at the beginning you might think of it as a misunderstanding, and you might think, okay, this is something we can solve, you know. And you being in love and you trying to keep your marriage, like, you won't think, oh my god, this is toxic. No, you won't think of it that way. You know, you'll just try to like contain the situation.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. For someone who's facing this situation the first time, you will be like, okay, let me just try and be patient. Let me try and see how things are. But for the toxic traits, I mean, you will just see them.
Yeah, and also sometimes because they make you feel like you're the one that's maybe crazy or you're the one with the problem, you will start doubting yourself. If you're dealing with a narcissistic person, someone also controlling, you'll feel like you are the one that's wrong and you're the one that needs to change. And that's what I'm saying. It's like it's a little bit hard there to realize, okay, it's not me. It could be the other person. Mm.
It's a build-up, isn't it? Like small things.
Yeah.
Small things, and then in the end, it's like it's no longer a small thing. You know.
You can't bear it anymore.
But the thing is, the thing is, what I can tell people, I mean, you will feel it. When you start feeling like you are struggling in some kind of way, I mean, the moment you start feeling you're like suffocating, that's a toxic relationship. Because that's how it starts. You feel like you're suffocating. You are not free. You're not being you most of the time. Okay? Like you're trying to please the other person all the time. Because in a healthy relationship, things happen just automatically, just spontaneous. Things are just happening. You just feel you're at peace. Everything is easy. It's so easy for you guys to understand each other. Even if you have a misunderstanding, it's very fast resolved. So in that kind of situation, you know you're in a healthy relationship. So I would just like to let anyone know, if you feel that kind of a struggle with your person, you feel like something is off. I mean, I'm trying to put points across. I'm trying to like air my views on a particular situation, but it's like you're being talked down upon. It's like your emotions don't matter, something like that. That's a toxic relationship.
I
need to realize this thing very fast, very quick in the early stages of the relationship. You need to realize these things.
Did you want to say something?
Yeah, you should always be able to talk your feelings. Like, if you can't share
communication
your feelings and then feel like you're being acknowledged, then
that's what we said yesterday. Communication is key in any relationship.
Acknowledges.
Like yesterday we were talking with Hadija. We said communication is key, and when communication is not just talking, it's about listening to each other as well. You know.
Right.
You know, I'm actually glad you used the word suffocating, which actually just triggered me, because I feel like there's a lot of times I felt like that, but I could not describe it. And as you said, when someone thinks of it that way, like if you're in a relationship or a marriage and there's lots of moments where you feel like you're suffocating and you're bending over backwards for the other person, it's always you trying to compromise something for the other person, then you need to know like something is not right, you know. And
things shouldn't be one-sided. They should never ever be one-sided. The effort should be 50-50.
When we were talking about ways to stop divorce and from happening, we forgot to mention that two most key important things were communication and mediation. Khadija mentioned, you know, like when you go to family, they'll be like, oh, have patience. No one will say go see a counselor or anything. So I would tell someone who is going through something with their partner, if it's possible to go to see like a marriage counselor or, you know, an imam or someone, a leader who can basically, someone that can give you professional help. But at the same time, if you're a Muslim, more on the Islamic side as well, and to be fair on both of you, so that someone who puts your interest in keeping the marriage together forward, but at the same time being fair, instead of someone one-sided. All right, so we've talked about people being in toxic relationships, and we've said, you know, if you're going through abuse, like literally leave. So the leaving part is actually hard for so many people. Like, not everyone has the courage to just get up and leave. And what would you guys advise someone to plan as an exit plan when they want to leave?
It depends. If you're like by yourself, you don't have any kids, then it's a lot easier because you still have, maybe you might not have your parents, but if you have your parents, you can just go to your moms and whatever. But if you're a family, you have kids, you have to think about the financial aspect of everything. You're leaving this guy and you've got kids. How are you gonna manage when you're gone? Because you can't go to your parents now. You've got 2 kids or 3 kids or 1 kid, however many kids. You know, you have to think, when I leave this place, how am I gonna survive? You know?
Why can't you go back to your parents though?
Because there's too many of you, no?
If it-
Sometimes you can, but how long are you gonna stay at your parents?
well, you might
You
go
need your
there
own
just
space.
until you figure things out, no?
Yeah, you need your own space end of the day when
Yeah.
you have kids, like, you know. But if you're in this country though, this is what I'd recommend. If you're living with a person, make sure the tenancy agreement is under your name. So that if anything happens, he's the one that's gonna pack up and go, and not you. Because the tenancy is under your name, you know?
What
The
if it's
house
under
technically
both
is
your
yours.
what if it's under both their names?
It's okay, he'll remove himself out of the equation. He should be the bigger person because you have kids. And if that's not the case, then you're gonna have to, like, before you even like try to like leave that situation, save up some money for deposit.
You know, here's the thing. So I know so many people that basically they've been in a situation where, let's say, the house belongs to the man. Let's say you're not renting, but the house belongs to the man. The man married you when he had already bought the house. It's under his name, right? Okay, the man or you, let's say you want a divorce, right? The man says, yo, I'm not going anywhere. I'll pay for you a hotel until you figure out where you want to go and you can go rent somewhere else. At the end of the day, this is my house. I know a friend that has been like back and forth with this, and the man is like, nope, I am not moving, this is my house. And she's like, but I'm the one who's gonna be taking care of the kids, why can't I be the one getting the house? You know, in Islam, when we get divorced, no, the man is not entitled, like, you're not entitled to receive the house from the man. The man is not entitled to give you anything. Yes, he can take care of you during the elder period, and it is his responsibility to look after the kids afterwards, but he doesn't have you to give you his properties and stuff like that, you know. So what happens when that's the case? You just literally have to find an exit plan, and as you said at the beginning, figure a way out where you're gonna go before you actually pack up and go, right?
So I think the number one thing should be knowledge. Okay, you need to understand your situation, like where you are at the moment and who the person you're with, because you will study the relationship. You will see, you will know, like, are we going far, or I mean, you need to understand where the toxicity limit is. You understand?
Yeah.
You cannot, let's say, you cannot tolerate any kind of toxicity. Let's just say that at the moment. So you need to understand the partner you're with, then you need to understand how to start working out things. For example, how to get a job, okay? Because as you say, the financial part, the financial aspect, that thing is really, really huge.
Alright, so guys, as we're talking about exit plans, if you're in a toxic or abusive marriage or relationship, I would like you to know, especially if you're in the UK, that you don't have to go through this alone. You don't have to suffer alone. There is different organizations that are out there that can help you come out of that situation. If you are in a situation like is physically abusive and you can like prove it or things like that, that person can actually be arrested, and because it is a crime what they're doing to you, it is not okay. And if you're struggling in any way, I'm gonna put some links down below from mental health links to abusive relationships kind of links, where you can like go to these organizations and they will help you get out of that situation. They will help you put you in a better situation and then put you in the system, and then you know you can get financially independent and be able to look after yourself, and if you have any kids, after the kids as well. So yeah, as we're talking through this whole exit plan, if you are in that position, I hope you find these links helpful. And I hope you know that you're not alone. There is people out there that are also suffering as well, and that's why these organizations are here to help people who are going through that as well. So yeah, so now let's say someone who doesn't have that kind of help, maybe someone is not in the UK. In Kenya, I know people who are physically abused, and when they go to the police don't do anything, you know. So if someone wants to live in that case, someone who is in a country where they don't get such help, so I would turn that question to you guys, like what should that person put in their mind when it comes to the exit plan, like how to go on about it?
Okay, so I believe the first thing should be communication. Okay, because I don't believe it's also a good idea, or I don't think it'll be understood when you just pack and leave at the same time, or just at the very first moment of the situation. So we need to let people know what is an abusive relationship. They need to understand that. But what are the signs? How do you feel when in that situation? Okay. So the moment you realize this kind of characteristics, then you know you're in an abusive relationship. So we come to communication, whereby you need to communicate to your partner, like what they're doing to you and the things that are not healthy to the relationship. They're not feeling anything. So you need to talk these things out. You need to let them know as well. Because I believe if you let someone know what they're doing, then they will have an easier time to, when you leave, it's going to be easy for them to adjust because they're going to know the reason. For example, a narcissist person, if you do something that, without that kind of an explanation, they can go crazy, they can do anything. So you need to communicate with them, let them know why you're leaving. It's like you're giving an ultimatum, but a soft ultimatum. I don't know if I can put it that way. Like, okay, listen, I know where we are heading. It's we kind of struggling in this part, and it's because of 1, 2, 3 things. So we need to straighten these things out. You need to let them to engage them in a conversation. Let them know what they're doing, okay? And try and show them through examples. We have a lot of sites. We have a lot of places you can show them. You have videos. You can do all of these things. So the moment you see someone is changing, then you just need to let them know, like, listen, I'm trying to be, patient enough. And I think we need to involve someone, because you also need one or another. You need the witness to understand what's going on. So you need to call someone in, be it someone you trust or a professional person. Like, listen, we are going through this kind of a situation right now. I'm trying to be patient enough. I'm trying to be helpful. I'm trying to make this thing work. But it's a relationship. I cannot do it on my own. It needs to be the two of us. Okay? So once you bring in someone and the person still doesn't change, I believe it also gives you the courage to walk out easily. So that will be like a good exit plan. It gives you also the courage to do things. Okay? And the person will easily understand, because all this trying to make it work, they also see it and they understand, like, okay, I know where the fault is and I don't want to change, or I cannot change. So if you leave, it will be easy, at least a little bit easy on both of you. I think that's the best way to go about it.
Yeah, I feel like for a man it's easier after that to just leave, but for a woman, if you're planning to live with the kids, it's like and if you are dependent on the man financially, you also have to think about, okay, how am I going to look after these kids when I leave, when the dad was the sole provider and stuff. Of course he is going to provide for them, but he might be stingy as well. He might just provide a little bit just to cover them, or maybe he'll say, I'll pay the school fees, but he doesn't think, okay, the kids need a roof over their head, the kids are gonna need food, the kids are, so that will all be on you, because well, you left, and most of the times it's the men that leave, but to be honest, there's lots of situations where it's the woman that has to leave. So people have to think about that, and then once they leave, they have to think about the children. Like, are you gonna be in a co-parenting relationship with your ex? And if you are gonna be in that kind of a relationship, what are the boundaries that you're gonna have to put in place so that you don't cross each other, or you don't do anything that would eventually harm the kids. At the end of the day, the moment you decide to walk out, the moment you decide to leave or separate or divorce, you have to think about, if you have kids, you have to think about the kids. The kids come first. So whatever you're gonna do, it has to be for them. Even though you might not like your ex anymore, you might probably hate him or hate her, you cannot, unless, in my head, unless your ex is was doing something wrong to these kids, like molesting these kids in one way or another, personally, or abusing them, I do not see a reason to stop your ex from seeing the children. if you've moved out with the kids, because I know like most of the times us women, we do tend to use that to like punish the man, you know, like you know, like I'm not gonna let you see the kids and blah 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 blah, I'm not even gonna let you talk to the kids, you know, because you put me through this and all that. But at the end of the day, the kids still need both parents, and if the man or the woman is still a good mother or a good father to the kids, regardless of whether you guys didn't work out, I don't see a point where people should be in a tug of war.
Put the kids in the middle.
You know, put the kids in the middle. So we've talked about finance, we've talked about the children, and here's another thing that I think we had started on it, but we didn't finish. So we have to think about when we bring someone else into our lives, like once, you know, we've settled down, we're separated or we're divorced. Okay, for example, me, okay, if I want to start seeing someone new, you know, it's not just going to be for me anymore. I'm going to have to think about my child as well, you know?
Yeah.
And even if it's her dad, for example, he has to think about the same thing, the kids he has. So it's like whoever you're gonna go for, it's no longer just about you, like, oh, I'm in a new relationship, you know, like romance, blah 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 blah. But at the end of the day, it has to be okay with your child to be with that person, and you have to think about all these things, you know. You can't just move. That's why you have to really take your time, get to know the other person that you are bringing into your life, because sometimes people bring crazy people into their lives and it ends up harming the kids as well, you know.
I feel like for us women, when we're with a guy for a long enough time, we know if this guy, okay, like, he'll be good for me, you know. We see the red flags because we just came out from this, you know, this bad environment. Now when we get into a new one, we see all the red flags, yeah? And if I'm with you and I've got 2 kids and you don't see my kids as part of me, and you don't, you know, then I won't be with you, because end of the day, those are my kids, and I need to see it from you that you care for them, you know? And there's guys that will literally show you that, no, like, I'm not into that, they're your problem, you know? And then there's guys that will be like on your kids' cases all the time, like, and they'll make you feel some type of way, like, yeah, this guy, he'll be good, so, you know?
I spoke to a marriage consultant this morning, and then I was telling her about how careful I am when choosing the next person, you know, and you know, she was like, are you sure, like, you're not projecting your fears on the other person? You know, we said like, yeah, we could see the red flags, but at the same time, I feel like there are things that trigger us, and sometimes, you know, we try to avoid them from happening, so we like do project, you know, our fears, like, I don't want this to end up being like this, you know. Yeah, and another thing is, when we are to bring someone else into our lives, people don't actually talk about how hard it is when you're divorced and trying to find a new partner, you know.
Balance.
Yeah, no, not even a balance, like the new partner, like being out there, putting yourself out there, trying to find someone, you know. And I don't like this thing where people see us as victims, like, oh, I'm just doing her a favor, I'll marry her just as a... No, I don't want that, you know. And yeah, so it's hard both ways, because there must be someone willing to take you as their partner, plus understand that it's a buy one get one free, or buy one get whatever free. Like, you don't come alone, you come as a whole package, and that person has to accept that, you know. It's not something you can force on someone, and I don't like forcing it on anyone. That person has to want it themselves. And then on the other hand, there's you who's thinking, okay, do I really think this person is the one, not just for me, but for my child or for my children as well. Continue what you were saying.
For that situation, now if you were divorced or you're from a toxic relationship and you want to move on, first of all, you need to heal from your side. You need to like totally heal. Okay. After you've healed, then you need to be very transparent when you are talking to the next person you're going to be with. You need to be very open, very honest. Because you need to understand that this is your life right now and you don't have any more time to waste. So you need to be very blank. You need to be very straightforward. I've been in this situation, this is how it is, and these are the kind of people, and I'm not looking for this kind of people anymore. This and this is what, and this is what I bring to the table as well.
I think we've talked quite a lot today. We're gonna end it there for today. We're gonna end it there for today, but we will have another session next week with you, just in case we remember some things that we didn't cover, so that we can you know, talk about them, you know. But it was very nice to have you on our channel. Thank you. And thank you, Khadija, for joining me again. It's your channel as well. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next week. We hope you found this helpful in one way or another. And yeah, we will catch up with you again next week, inshallah. Bye.
Bye.